Hello, my name is Jason Purikel. I'm a candidate for an MBA in Sustainable Business at BGI at Pinchot University. This video is being produced in fall quarter of 2014 for the Sustainable Food and Agricultural class. For my field trip, I had the pleasure of visiting one of Washington State University's agricultural research and extension centers. There are 5 located around the state. I visited the center in Puyallup. The Puyallup campus is divided into 2 with 30 acres located on the west outskirts of the city that houses its administration offices and research laboratories. Another 70 acres is located several miles east of the city. I met with Doug Collins, who obtained his PhD in soil science from WSU, sat on the board of Seattle Tilth for several years, and is now conducting numerous experiments in Puyallup, as well as education for small farms across the entire state. Doug was kind enough to show me just a few of the research projects happening at the Puyallup Center. For example, an aerated composting method.
Oh wow, I think these were made quite a few weeks ago.
160 degrees?
Yeah, that's cooking. So anything over 130 we consider to be hot. And that's hot enough to kill pathogens.
Yeah.
So there's a time temperature requirement. So with a static pile like this, it'll have a blanket over the top of it of composted material. So the material you're looking at's already been composted once. So it doesn't, the very outer bit doesn't have to reach that temperature because it's already been composted. So you put this blanket over the top of it. And then with this kind of system, because it has that blanket, you don't have to turn it. It just has to reach 130 degrees and be there for 3 days. With a pile where you didn't have a blanket like this, you'd have to turn it 5 times. And each time it's got to reach that temperature.
Sure.
And then that allows this chance that everything sort of reaches that temperature. Everything ends up in the middle. So some people think that makes a better compost because you're turning it and mixing it. In terms of management and economics, tends to be the better because every time you touch that pile, it's time and money,
labor.
This way you can just put your
So
effort
what
into it.
size horsepower pump do you have on the
It doesn't take very much. I think it's like a 1.5 or something, and it's only on for 15 seconds or 30 seconds. Or what is it, like, I don't know, 30 seconds every 15 minutes or something like that.
Oh,
it's
wow.
not very much, yeah.
So that could potentially be through solar then
Oh yeah,
run.
sure. It's not a high powered pump.
We trekked around research plots with winter wheat and a cover crop called vetch, each one with a different variable changed, such as completely tilled, just a minimal row till, or absolutely no till. We saw plots where the impacts to crops from animals such as sheep were being tested. There are rainwater gardens everywhere. We walked through rows of Christmas trees, grown as part of the research on ornamentals. I was not aware that the Pacific Northwest supplies 1/3 of all the Christmas trees in the United States. We also visited the parking lot where a new permeable asphalt is being tested to see if toxicity in rainwater runoff can be reduced through bioremediation. Apparently there are lots of pollutants and metals that are picked up by the rainwater as it makes its way through our current drainage systems. There is a building on the campus with wires and sensors sticking out of the walls and filled with testing equipment researching natural fibers for insulation. These were just a few of the projects happening at WSU. While all great research, most of my conversation with Doug focused on how the Puyallup Research and Extension Center could rethink their overall strategy. As the city has developed and grown over the years, there's less agriculture surrounding the center. The center appreciates this change and wants to make a shift to more align with the external community. Specifically, the center can become a place of innovation for more sustainable development like green building and alternative energy. Doug is in agreement for an integration of typically segregated industries. For this to happen, the various departments and projects happening at the center will have to become less siloed, and a holistic approach to collaboration will be necessary. I would like to thank Doug Collins for taking the time to visit with me on a rainy afternoon. And I would especially like to thank my good friend Jose Garcia Pavon, who also works as a small farms educator with WSU. Don Jose facilitated the connection with Doug and accompanied me on the trip to Puyallup.